In the universe of House of the Dragon and in Game of Thrones, the most magnificent creatures here are of course dragons. They come in a great variety of colors, size and appearances, but none of them are the same. Yet they all differ from one another, but they are of the same species. So when Aegon the Conqueror first introduced them to Westeros, there were just 3 of them, which were Balerion, Meraxes and Vhagar, and by the time of the Dance of the Dragons, they numbered around 20. Some are young and small, others are old and large. And surprisingly, others are old and small, relatively small in size. And by the time of the last dragon, in the year 153 AC, they were the size of small cats and pets. This brings us to the topic here today, which is why are some dragons bigger than others, and why do others grow faster while others stop growing entirely? So here in this video we will list out 9 things that affect a dragon's growth and its rate of growth. Let's get to it. The first factor is age. In A Song of Ice and Fire, age is the most crucial factor in the growth and size of dragons because these creatures, like anacondas, pythons and crocodiles, continue to grow throughout their lives. Unlike most animals, dragons do not have a fixed maximum size. Instead, their growth is continuous as long as they live and are well fed. This means that the older a dragon is, the larger it becomes, assuming that it has access to sufficient food and space to support its growth. For example, Balerion the Black Dread was the biggest dragon ever recorded, and he was also the dragon with the most number of years lived, having been around for more than 2 centuries. This is further supported by Vhagar, the biggest dragon as of the timeline of the Dance of Dragons, being over 180 years of age. Therefore, this shows that a dragon age is directly correlated with its size, making older dragons typically much larger than their younger counterparts. But there are exceptions to this rule, as we will see in the other 8 factors. Number 2. Sex or gender. Here, the sex of dragons is somewhat of a vague factor in their growth and size. George R.R. Martin's writings suggest that dragons do not really have a fixed sex, and can potentially change sex as needed. When a dragon is never observed to have laid eggs, this is taken as proof that it must have been a male. However, according to Bath and Maester Aemon, dragons have no fixed gender, but they are more of now one and now the other, as changeable as their flame. But there are dragons that are definitely termed as male, such as Balerion, Vermithor and Meraxes, and these dragons are seen to be bigger than the other female counterparts of a comparable age. It was said that Vermithor was the second largest dragon after Vhagar, being just a bit smaller despite being half her age. And at the same time, he was bigger, way bigger than Silverwing and Dreamfire, even though these 2 dragons were of a similar age. Number 3. Diet. Dragons require vast amounts of food, primarily meat, to sustain their immense bodies and continuous growth. A well-fed dragon grows larger and stronger, while a dragon that lacks sufficient nutrition may become stunted and weaker. The quality and quantity of their diet directly influences their physical development and vitality. Historical accounts within the series now show that dragons with access to abundant food sources, such as wild game or livestock, tend to be more robust and formidable. Conversely, dragons kept in captivity or restricted environments where their diet is limited do not really reach their full growth potential. Food type also heavily influences dragon growth, as in the case of Greghost, the wild dragon that primarily fed on fish, and he was killed and partially devoured by the dragon called Sunfire, despite Greghost being way older than the golden beast of Aegon. Number 4. Activity. This factor heavily influences the growth and development of these creatures. Dragons like Drogon in Game of Thrones were seen to be freely roaming and hunting all around Essos. The amount of activity that he had would have greatly affected his muscle growth and wings, which is why he was seen to be way bigger than his brothers Viserion and Rhaegal despite being the same age. Another example is Syrax. This dragon of Rhaenyra was described as fat, lazy, and not having hunted for herself in a very long time, which would explain why she stopped growing altogether in the time jumps in Season 1 and also being of the same size in Season 2. Factor number 5. Breed. According to the showrunners of House of the Dragon and by extension, George R.R. Martin himself, it is confirmed that there are 3 types of dragon breeds within the Targaryen dragon lineage. There are the Dinosaurian types, which have large bridges in their noses, the wolf type, which has smaller bridges, and then the horse types. It is a bit difficult to tell which from which, since the producers stopped at just telling the types and not which one belongs to which. So the breed of dragon might also affect the maximum size these beasts can attain. Just as certain dog breeds are bigger than others, like for example the size difference of a Saint Bernard and a Pomeranian, so the same might be true for dragons. One of these breeds might be specific for large sizes while the others are more into speed and agility like Melees and Cyrax. Factor number 6. Individuality. While factors such as age, diet and environment significantly influences a dragon's growth, there is also an element of individuality that determines their ultimate size and strength. Just as with other creatures, genetic diversity amongst dragons means that there are some which are naturally predisposed to be larger and more formidable than others. Historical records in the series show significant variations among dragons. For instance, Meraxes was half the size of Vhagar, although it was deformed and appeared serpentine, while others like Seasmoke, although formidable, did not reach the same immense size. These differences suggest that inherent traits play a role in determining the physical development of each dragon. We can also see Baela Targaryen's Moon Dancer, that will be appearing in Season 2, was seen to be a bit bigger than Aerax, that was killed in Season 1 despite being younger than the dragon of Lucerys Balerion. Factor number 7. The Dragon Pit. The Dragon Pit in King's Landing had a significant negative effect on the growth and size of the dragon's house there. Built to house and control Targaryen dragons, the Dragon Pit restricted the dragon's freedom and space, leading to stunted growth and diminished vitality. The confined environment and limited opportunity for hunting and exercise hindered their natural development. As a result, dragons kept in the Dragon Pit were notably smaller and weaker compared to their counterparts who roamed free. The adequate space and possibly a less varied diet within the pit contributed to these dragons not reaching their full potential in size and strength. This shows the detrimental impact of captivity on these magnificent creatures. Number 8. Blood Magic. The ancient Valyrians used blood magic to bond to dragons, and Daenerys Targaryen's own ritual in Essos might have played a crucial role in her dragons hatching and in their growth spurt. The ritual involved the death of her husband Khal Drogo and the burning of the witch, which culminated in the birth of her dragons. This was also done at the time of the Red Comet, which was directly overhead, a celestial event that was described as a rebirth of magic. This here might explain why Drogon, Viserion and Rhaegal were gigantic beasts at around 7 years of age, being bigger than Cyrax in House of the Dragon, despite the she-dragon being around 30 years old. The sudden surge of magic coupled with the ritual would have given these dragons a huge boost for their later fast growth rates. The magic element would also explain why the latter dragons that existed after the dance was small and sickly. Probably there was no magic in the world left anymore. And the last factor, which is conflict. Conflict and fights can positively affect a dragon's growth and development by providing them with opportunities for asserting dominance. Engaging in battles and conflict can stimulate a dragon's physical capabilities, leading to increased strength and resilience. The exertion from fights and the challenges of combat can enhance a dragon's muscle development and the overall physical conditioning. Victorious dragons in conflicts often secure more territory and resources, allowing them access to abundant food sources, which is crucial for their growth. This is true for the case of the cannibal, having attained the name from hunting, fighting, and killing other wild dragons in Dragonstone and consuming them. He was the most feared beast, avoided by even the other wild dragons residing on the island. Now, this might be theoretical, but it does seem logical. So now we have come to the end of the video on why some dragons are bigger or grow faster than others. Now, if you like this video, then watch this other one as well, and do check out our channel for other dragon content. We might just have things you haven't seen before. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.